Hello, this is Soundout here, back with Star Trek Week, Day 2. We had a slight technical glitch with yesterday. There was a temporal anomaly, and as our starship was flying through it, we kind of ended up in this weird parallel dimension where I had a beard, and man, everything was so strange. I didn't know what to do. So with some assistance from Masterpiece Soundwave and the Masterpiece Optimus Prime, who luckily are really good with computers because they're articulated fingers, they were able to get me back. So because of that, I kind of couldn't put out a video yesterday. I had a stressful day in a parallel universe where everyone was trying to kill me. So, here we are with Day 2. A day late, but I hope you guys can forgive me. Again, I was stuck in a parallel dimension. So, today we're looking at the Star Trek The Next Generation Shuttlecraft Goddard. I believe this wasn't the most used of the shuttlecrafts from The Next Generation. This was famous for having the episode Relics where Scotty showed up. He was standing in Shuttlecraft Goddard. But overall, it wasn't the most used one, but it looks like any of the shuttlecrafts. The only difference is the name. Now, this one was released before the Galileo shuttlecraft. Still released by Playmates Toys. This is early in their line. And this one actually does things different. Instead of including a figure, you have lights and sounds, which is really neat. So anyways, we do have, as you can see here, Star Trek Next Generation, Space, the Final Frontier, official Starfleet transport craft. You got a nice box art. There's a try me feature if the thing was still inside the box. You got dual light-up thrusters, 2 authentic Star Trek shuttlecraft sounds, phasers, and impulse engines. Holds a 3-person crew. Bonus technical blueprint included. I have misplaced that, so we're going to forget that exists. Actual sounds from the Star Trek TV show, as you can see there. And you can see I paid $25 for this. I was very happy the day I walked into Lobo Anime and Comics and saw it up on the shelf and was like, hey, I can finally get Shuttlecraft Goddard. I kind of like shuttlecrafts. By kind of like shuttlecrafts, I mean I love shuttlecrafts. On the side, you get basically the same thing. Paramount logo and such. It's the same exact picture on the top, just bigger. On the back, you can see you've got activation, cargo area. You got all this stuff I'm going to show you. You also have all the Starfleet accessories to Ultimate Space Adventure. You got the personal communicator. You got the Starship Enterprise, the Galaxy-class flagship of the United Federation of Planets. It's Enterprise D, of course. That's before they started including stands. And the phaser, I do have this. Just saying, I don't have the other two. But all that, there is a bio. Now, the bio for the Galileo shuttlecraft caused a lot of problems when throwing the box against the wall. As you can see here, log on, Shuttlecraft Goddard, USS Enterprise, NCC 1701D. The Shuttlecraft Goddard Type 6 is the latest and most advanced shuttlecraft in Starfleet. Designed as a short-range transportation vehicle, the shuttlecraft can accommodate up to 3 crew members and 2.75 metric tons of cargo. The shuttlecraft is used when high volatile material is too unstable to be transported by the transporter. The shuttlecraft has 2 1,250 micro-change warp engines that can be converted upwards into 2,100 millicochrane engines. Equipped with 2 825 millicochrane impulse engines, the shuttlecraft can sustain warp 1.2 for 48 hours, and when upgraded can sustain warp 2 for 36 hours. 8 DEFI 5.7 hot gas RCS thrusters give this advanced design its high maneuverability. Armament for the shuttlecraft is supplied in the form of 2 Type 4 phasers, phaser emitters. Power for the shuttlecraft is supplied by 3 Sarium Cretaline storage cells. Further access denied, log off. Thank God there's no more access, because holy crap, it's a lot of technobabble. So, that's pretty much the box. Not much else to say about that. Nothing infuriating. They weren't trying to say it was from an episode it wasn't in. So, without further ado, let's move on. So, here we have Shuttlecraft Goddard. Now, as you can see, this is your basic Enterprise D shuttlecraft. Just says Goddard on the side. This is Shuttlecraft 15. It says Enterprise. You got the stripe. Now, I did not apply these stickers, but you can see that they're well applied. As this is the second. This is I'm the second person, at least second person to own this. But anyways, looking at the toy itself, you can tell that all the details are intact of the Shuttlecraft Goddard. It's not the exact color. I think there's some discoloration going on here. But it's overall really nice. Now, you can see it does say NCC 1701D. You got Goddard, you got the nacelles, you got the hatch in the back here, it says 1701D. And you got all the little details. It's very simplistic, though, much like how the Galileo shuttlecraft was. Now, for features, there is storage for figures. Now, you don't get any figures with this one. But you can see here, you open up the cockpit, you got some very nice details in here. Like, the sticker detail is really nice. And you can tell that it looks exactly like the computers do on the bridge of the Enterprise. Now, you can seat one figure in here. This one's a bit closer to actual scale. A bit, I say. Now, since it does not come with a figure, we're going to be using Lieutenant Commander Data here. And he's going to be our test dummy for this whole thing. And you can see he fits right inside, except the seatbelt is bigger. And I think that was because they wanted to accommodate so that Worf could fit in here. Unfortunately, I've tried and failed for hours to get Worf to sit in that chair. So, whatever. But this does cause problems if you're picking up the ship. He's going to slide forward and back. But the chair does rotate, which I always thought was a nice touch, even though his legs kind of don't have clearance for these things. But you can close it up, and guess what? You can't tell anyone's inside. So, there is that. The blacked out windows, I think it would have looked... I think it simultaneously looked cool and kind of dumb if they had clear windows, because the clear windows you could see inside, but then you would realize that it is out of scale. Moving Data off the side, we're going to look at the cargo hatch. By the way, unlike the Galileo, this has wheels. I like that. In the back here, you got a very cramped cargo section. Now, the batteries are up here. There's no on-off. There's an on-off switch. It's underneath the batteries. Trying to show you is impossible, so I'm not going to. It's on already. Just so you know, turn it on before you put the batteries in. There is one gimmick here mentioned on the back of the box. That is the cargo. Now, this is supposed to be some sort of thing they're hauling, and it looks pretty neat. And there's a nice track it can run on, and it slides into place very tightly, so it ain't going anywhere. Unfortunately, you can't put any figures in while the cargo's there, so let's pull that out. You'll notice there's these benches in here. So once you got the benches in, you can try to fit 4 figures in the back, but it's really only supposed to hold 3. So you can only put 2 in the back. But you can see there's like these lap belts. It's kind of weird. And getting the figures in there and trying to secure them with the lap belts is pretty much impossible. So I'm not even going to bother. You can lose the figures. You can just kind of set them in there and then close the door. And then, hey, you can't see them anyway, so that's really the point. So for display mode, it really doesn't bug me that you can't really fit the figures in there very well. I wish, again, the top part could open up. Thought that would be kind of neat. But what can you do with a drunken sailor? Moving on, let's put this back in here, and we'll go to the coolest part about the shuttlecraft, in my opinion. And that is the lights and sounds. Now, the first button, I'm not going to even try to figure out which is which. One's a phaser, one is an impulse engine. Those of you out there that know the sound effects really well, you will know this. I'm going to shut my light off here, like that, so we can demonstrate this a bit better. Now, I'm going to assume that's the engine, but as you can see, both nacelles light up. Also, you have the other button, which could also be the engine, so I have no clue. I'm thinking that this is probably the engine, and the other one's the phaser. So really cool. And by the way, for those curious, there's the bottom. You can see where the hinge is for the chair, and you can see the wheels, which roll really nicely. So overall, what do I think of Shuttlecraft Goddard? Well, on one hand, it is cooler. I find it to be have more play value than the Galileo shuttlecraft, but the difficulty of placing the figures inside the ship is a problem, and the fact that you can't hold the cargo section and have figures sitting in the back. And also, it doesn't include a figure, so basically, if you didn't have any figures from the line, then you'd be stuck with a ship that goes vroom vroom, and you can pull a cargo thing out and wish you had figures. So I think with things like this, it was always best when they included figures. But what can you do? The Shuttlecraft Goddard is by no means as iconic as the Galileo shuttlecraft. Now, I keep talking about the Galileo, and I keep mentioning it, and keep talking about it. Why is it not here? Well, it just so happens it just came back from a mission. And here it is. Now, putting the two shuttlecrafts together, you can notice the similarities of the design. The blacked out windows, the sleek nature, the engines on the side, which I mistakenly called nacelles on this. I'm sorry, they look like nacelles. But overall, you got the basic design. It's just this one's a bit more sleeker than this one was. Now, the Galileo shuttlecraft is definitely more recognized in the end than the Goddard. But I think that if you're going to get one of these, it's definitely the Galileo. But if you don't like the original series or have never seen it and only seen Next Generation, then this thing's still good. But in my humble opinion, if you are going to get a shuttlecraft, get both. They look really nice together. I want to have a shelf one day where I have both shuttlecrafts on display. Right now I don't have the shelf space as of yet. They're sitting on my floor and they look really nice. But I really like this, and I'm really sad that they did not release any other shuttlecrafts in this size, because these two are scaled to each other, not necessarily the figure scaled to them, but they are really nice. And there's a lot of similarities, like this opens up, and this opens up. And turning around to the back, you got the back section, which only has one seat there and two there, admittedly with cargo. So there's a lot more gimmicks of such on the Goddard than there is on the Galileo. But the Galileo does have that missile launcher to account for, and all the opening panels. So, lights and sounds versus neat little technical details. Overall, I think that while the Goddard seems like more playability for smaller kids, the Galileo is definitely a collector's piece. So, that is that. Those are the two shuttlecrafts. This is all that Playmates did on shuttlecrafts. There's been other shuttlecraft toys made, model kits and such, but these are the only two that were released in this scale by Playmates. They did a few micro league, whatever stuff, but this is it, and I really like having both of them. So I definitely recommend both shuttlecrafts, and I really can't recommend one over the other. Honestly, if you're only going to get one, if you can only afford to get one, get the Galileo. It's a bit more iconic. They both cost around the same price. And if you have enough money, just get both. They're really nice vehicles. I do enjoy having both of them. So that is my opinion on the shuttlecrafts. I'm kind of a shuttlecraft enthusiast, so having these is a dream. And that is all for Day 2 of Star Trek Week. Stay tuned tomorrow as we'll be taking a look at more of the evolution of Star Trek. And be sure to check out HeroTaku.com for sci-fi news and more. Until next time, sound same. Goodbye.